Welcome to Eye on the Tigers News on this lovely Friday. I'm Shannon Corey.
And I'm Kennedy Lamb. Thanks for joining us. Here's the news we're following for you. Militant leaders from the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda gathered at a farmhouse in northern Syria last week and agreed on a plan to stop fighting each other and work together against their opponents, a high-level Syrian opposition official and rebel commander have told the Associated Press. Such an accord could present new difficulties for Washington's strategy against the Islamic State group. While warplanes from a U.S.-led coalition strike militants from the air, the Obama administration has counted on arming moderate rebel factions to push them back on the ground. Those rebels, already considered relatively weak and disorganized, would face far stronger opposition if the two heavy-hitting militant groups now are working together.
If you're waiting for gas prices to start creeping back up, you may be in for a longer wait. In a dramatic shift from previous forecasts, the Energy Department predicted Wednesday that the average price of gasoline in the U.S. will be $2.94 a gallon in 2015. That's a 44-cent drop from an outlook issued just a month ago. If the sharply lowered estimate holds true, U.S. consumers will save $61 billion on gas compared with this year. The drop has been welcome news to the area drivers.
More good news for the economy. U.S. retail sales rose modestly in October, evidence that recent job gains and lower gas prices are lifting consumer spending as the holiday shopping season begins. The Commerce Department said Friday that retail sales rose 0.3% last month, after falling by the same amount in September. Employers have stepped up hiring, giving more Americans paychecks to spend and boosting consumer confidence.
The world's tallest and shortest men met one another yesterday during a promotional celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Guinness Book of World Records.
Speaking of world records, his voice reduced to a croak, Al Roker completed a 34-hour marathon weather forecast Friday on NBC's The Today Show. Roker had his marathon certified by the Guinness World Records as the longest continuous live weather broadcast. He beat a 33-hour record set in September by a Norwegian TV personality. The Rokerthon also raised some $70,000 for the USO.
While the weather certainly has been the story today, we saw reports that places in northeast Ohio got more than a foot of snow. Just north of us in the Tug Hill, nearly a foot of snow. Let's bring in Abby Garrett with the forecast.
Nearly 5 inches of snow fell in parts of Oswego County last night into this morning. Early this morning, Palermo in particular was getting hit with some pretty heavy lake-effect snow, which made roads very slippery. There were multiple reports of several accidents. For the rest of our Friday, we'll still run the risk of some lake-effect snow showers, some of which could be heavy in those persistent bands. But that risk will diminish as we get into Saturday. We could see another quick inch. Sunday we'll continue to see very cold temperatures for this time of year. High temps are only expected to be in the low 40s. Our average high for this time of year is closer to 52 degrees. Our next good chance for measurable snow is Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday, where we'll see periods of snow each day as the big lake gets involved.
For a peek at a busy weekend in sports, let's go to Andrea Ross.
The Buffalo Bills' playoff hopes took a serious hit last night in Miami as the Dolphins' defense ran a rough shot to the 22-9 win. Ryan Tannehill threw touchdown passes on back-to-back drives in 5-minute span on the second half, and Miami's defense held Buffalo without a touchdown. The loss leaves the Bills at 5-5 behind those Dolphins and the division-leading Patriots. Here's a look at this week's NFL schedule. The Jets have the bye week, while the Giants look to the end of their losing skid while they host the 49ers. And the marquee game of the weekend, the Eagles take on the Packers. Clayton Kershaw became the first pitcher to win the National League MVP award since Bob Gibson in 1968, coasting an easy victory Thursday. A day after unanimously taking the National League Cy Young Award, Kershaw completed a Los Angeles sweep. A little earlier, Angels outfielder Mike Trout was a unanimous pick for the AL MVP. Trout had been blanked in his bid the past 2 years, finishing the second both times to the Detroit slugger Miguel Cabrera. The 23-year-old Trout was the youngest unanimous MVP pick in the Major League history. And finally, SU Hoops opens its season tonight when the Orange hosts Kennesaw State with the tip time at 7 o'clock. The game is available on ESPN3 or Time Warner Cable, Channel 398.
Here is Nathaniel Schrader with a look at what's on the calendar.
Today's calendar shows us that inductions into the National Honor Society is set for next Tuesday, November 18th. Area All-State performances continue today at Oswego High for musicians and singers. Report cards will be handed out for students during their first period class on Monday. However, grades may be checked through the School Tool parent portal. The Friends of Rachel group will be showing The Life of Timothy Green next Friday at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Admission is only $1.
And finally, we welcome Emma, who has our history lesson.
On this day in history, November 14th, 1851, Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick was published. In 1881, Charles Guiteau went on trial for assassinating President James Garfield. He was convicted and hanged. In 1940, on November 14, German planes destroyed most of the English town on Coventry during World War II. In 1969, Apollo 12 was launched on the second manned mission to the moon. And finally, in 1972, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed above 1,000 for the first time. For some perspective, the Dow is near 17,000 today.
That's it for us today. Thanks for being with us. I'm Shannon Corey.
And I'm Kennedy Lamb. Have a great weekend.